That's just how I went.
Hey, I see Jeremy and Morelli have joined. Thanks for joining, guys. Good afternoon. My name is Cameron Irby. I'm from the support team at Decisions, and I'll be your Lunch and Learn host today. Please feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions or come off mute and ask those questions. Yes, Morelli, shoot.
So I have a question about flow run parts.
Mhm.
And if I can use more than one flow run part for the same report.
More than one flow run part for the same report. I don't see why not. Is there any special use case for you guys?
We have, and you're about the fifth person I've asked. So we have a situation where we have a report that has multiple dates in it, and they want to be able to filter by date ranges, but only ever one date range at a time. So I was told that a flow run part was a way to do that. And I just wasn't sure if I had to use only one flow run part per report, or if I could do multiples.
If I'm thinking of it correctly, you should be able to use multiple run parts.
Okay.
And the input for that date time would be different.
Correct. Yeah, they'd be different fields.
Okay, so the date time we're trying to filter on are two different fields.
Yeah. Say for instance, a receive date and a change date, or a completed date, or something like that.
Yeah, I would think that would be two separate flow run parts.
Okay. Right, and then I had another general question. Someone had mentioned once that I could install a local version of both 6 and 7 if I made some kind of a port change. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, and I know it's possible. It's not something that we necessarily recommend. So I'm surprised somebody actually told you that. But yeah, if you just change the port to, so by default it uses that port 80 or for HTTP.
Mm-hmm.
You can change that port to anything, say 881, and it'll connect to that port rather than the 80 ports, and it'll allow you to install both of those. But I think for the 7, it would need to be self-hosted rather than IIS hosted.
Okay.
All right, I see a few more people join. Thanks guys for joining the Lunch and Learn. My name is Cameron Irby. I'll be the host today. If you have any questions, just drop it in the QA or the chat, or raise your hand and come off mute to ask that question.
Cameron, do you have any experience working with the project that's out there for error tracking and how to set that up?
As far as error handling indecision?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that something you could show us how to apply to an existing project?
Yeah, I think I can do that. Yeah, let's go ahead and demo that. All right, and can you see Decision Studio?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if I have a good flow. Let's see what we got. It's good enough. So 1 second, let me just. So what you're asking, you're just trying to catch decisions errors in the flow. Are we trying to catch those errors so that we can continue the flow? Or, because I know if we error in the flow, it'll just kill the flow automatically, at least by default, without these handlings put in.
Well, I'm not talking about the steps. There's an actual project, an error handling project that someone sent me, because I was talking about how to get better error information from a running flow than just using the system tools item.
Yeah, I think I sent you that, if I recall.
That's quite possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know like how to use it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember that exact project. I know I got it from one of our PS members. I can probably pull some information from. And you can likely just open a ticket for that.
Okay.
To get you the information you need for that. Make a note of that. So off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Do you remember what that project was called?
I want to say it was called error handling, but that seems a little
Too good to be true.
Yeah. Oh, it's called projects.exception handling.
Okay.
At least that's what the zip file that you sent me is called. I would assume that's close to the name of the project.
All right, do we have any more questions for anybody else in attendance? Feel free to drop it in the chat or raise your hand and come off mute. Feels like Shiva posted a message in the chat. Just wondering if there's any way we can resolve this thread. To resolve the thread was being aborted as below. Thread was being aborted. Yeah. Shiva, do you mind explaining where this error message came from? Just to break it down a bit. Looks like it's an API call. Yeah.
So obviously I'm going back and forth.
I've seen that thread aborted timeout error with timeouts, like with flow timeouts, like if the flow is taking too long to execute.
So he's saying that's the whole point. You send in a session ID. Like, no, our application will send requests that get intercepted by this session handler with no session ID. Like, I understand what you're saying. If you want to use this request, or if you want to send a request in, you send a session ID and then you look up an account number. Totally fine. Look, get that. What about the requests that are intercepted that our application is making? Like, that's what I'm right. So that's what I just said back to him. I'm like, no. I said, maybe I'm missing something obvious, but what about the requests from decisions that get intercepted that have no session ID? How do we know what account that is? No, you can get a system user. Yeah, you can do like a system user context.
Yeah, Shiva said that. I think the most obvious change to make would be to increase timeout values in sending XML. And I can send over those tags we want to look out for to increase, if that would help.
So if you look at if you look at the authentication tab. No, you want session. So if you go to authorization is it not, so that you, maybe you can't specify session.
Right, so if you go to bear,
No, it's, we don't want there.
the bear token is what they are talking about. But
That's not what we want though.
But what we were doing, we're basically taking on signal and just getting it.
No, we don't want that. No, what you want is, so you turn off authentication, you manually add a header that is an authentication session ID. Or session.
It has to be a valid header. That's not.
It's-
not-
If you add a header that's called authentication session,
We don't like that. Either way, like the name of session.
no, I think the key, I'd have to look at how you specify.
Is it just session ID? It might
No,
be.
no, it's not. So that example that Huzafa gave us in that email is exactly what I put in the doc to you guys. It's like,
'Cause I
was it
tried-
authorization session?
I thought it was authentication session,
Yeah, maybe it is, yeah, whatever.
but I know when I put it in.
Any other questions while I search for this timeout settings?
Authentication session, some.
So
So,
that'd be the session.
But then, like, where are we getting session ID? Like, is that?
Like the name session.
Also, Shiva, could you confirm the version you guys are running?
Like, why don't I understand what the session that would update on browser. Just like from the actual like from the session.
no, you don't need any of that. Like, you're, like, they will figure out the session. So their external tool will figure that out, right? All we're trying to prove is that we can send in on an HTTP post, we can send in a value for the session. So it comes in on that custom session handler method, and then you just log in. Don't worry about what they're doing with it. Like, that's their problem, not ours. We just need to get, it could be like some test string, right? It doesn't really matter. It's not valid, it's not an actual valid session string, it's just a string. That to prove to them that we can get it in there. Oh. There's a method called something like handle right handle. No session ID. Platform deal with it. Only handle ones that actually are. That's important. It's part of it. I'll Google and figure out how to send in. Just like Google and figure out how to send in authentication section.
That blog content. Yeah. Are we going to tomorrow?
Next Wednesday. I'm not going to anything tomorrow.
Maybe I guess it is next week.
Next Wednesday.
Are we still going to it?
All right, opening up the floor. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and drop it in the chat, the Q&A, or just raise your hand and come off mute to ask the question. They are in settings XML and they should be on the docs. Andrew. Any more questions? Feel free to put it in chats or raise your hand and come off mute to ask the question.
And he says, I see now, Janesh's broken this thing. Somehow remember that before I can opt out and one except. Thanks to the. No, I want you to figure out all the flows we have posed. And have a header.
Okay, I'm going to give it a minute or two to see if anybody else trickles in and has a question for us. If not, we're just going to wrap it up.
Figure out how we can get that string on a post code into that. That's don't worry about the concept. It's obviously. So that's not like. Well, no, I think that's so I have to run out of here. One, or like, I would be bad. My parents fly out. So so we'll see where this goes. But it is going to be.
All right, doesn't look like we have anybody new to join. So I just want to thank you guys for joining and participating in today's Lunch and Learn. Please feel free to invite your colleagues to our webinar to get some tips and tricks, just some knowledge, some decisions knowledge. Have a great afternoon, great evening, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you.